We're minutes away from more live news here on our 24/7 streaming channel, including an Eyewitness News special. We take an in-depth look at that wild pursuit yesterday through Orange and L.A. County, what went right and what went wrong. And the 101 freeway in Hollywood shut down, a suspect dead, and all may be over an apartment eviction. Plus, they're still counting ballots from Tuesday's elections, some races too close to call. Don't go anywhere. Eyewitness News at 6:30 is streaming live in 2 minutes.
Live from ABC 7, this is Eyewitness News at 6:30.
It is the pulse-pounding pursuit we are all still talking about, what we're now learning about the man behind the wheel and the lives impacted. Hello, and thank you for joining us as we stream live. I'm Colleen Sullivan.
And I'm David Ono. This is Eyewitness News at 6:30 and our Eyewitness News special on the Run Unstoppable Chase Rampage. We have new details coming in on that heart-stopping pursuit and crime spree that had so many of us watching together in shock and disbelief.
Oh, crashing into a Jeep, crashing into another vehicle here, and now he's trying. Look at this, again, ramming into more cars and trucks.
And this is what we were all watching almost exactly 24 hours ago. A man speeding nearly 2 hours, leading police on an extremely dangerous cat-and-mouse chase across 2 counties in 3 different stolen vehicles, all of it coming to a crashing conclusion at a gas station. Tonight, we're getting new details on the man behind the wheel and the charges he is now facing. And we're also hearing from those whose vehicles were stolen and who tried to confront this dangerous suspect. We begin tonight with Eyewitness News reporter Christian Cordero.
The Wednesday night pursuit that took nearly 90 minutes crossed into 2 counties and damaged at least 13 vehicles. Today has countless of people stunned, among them John Reynolds. It wasn't just his van stolen on live TV, it was his livelihood.
The new one's going to cost $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. So I'm in quite a predicament. I have no idea how long it's going to be before I can find a used refrigerated van.
Reynolds distributes fruit and condiments throughout Orange and LA counties. His refrigerated van was the second of at least 3 vehicles stolen in the chase. His was taken from his townhome parking lot and ended up in flames. The driver ditched it, then ran away before stealing another worker's vehicle, now in Whittier. First hopping over a fence, getting into a home, getting chased out of it, but taking the keys and putting the truck in drive.
My mom, she said she broke her hand, for just holding me back, because I didn't really want to let him go, but my mom was just like, just let him go, just let him go.
This truck, Andres Benitez's truck, was brand new and a crucial part of his landscaping business.
It just breaks my heart because, that truck that he stole is our work truck, and we use it every day, every day.
It all ended at the Hacienda Heights gas station where LA County Sheriff's deputies first shot at the man in the vehicle, then reached into it to arrest him. 32-year-old Johnny Anchondo has an extensive criminal history, according to court records, with convictions in LA County for carjacking, reckless evading, and joyriding. 18 cases are filed under his name in Riverside County. There are 2 separate GoFundMe pages for each of those men that you heard from, the owner of the van and the owner of the truck. The one for the van has so far raised about $15,000. The one for the truck that ended right here, about $80,000. We're live in Hacienda Heights. I'm Christiane Cordero, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
And in Christiane's piece, we heard briefly from Andres Benitez. The suspect broke into his family's home, stole their work truck, and then took it from their driveway. Andres had a lot more to say about those terrifying moments and about how much his family relies on that truck. Let's listen to a little more of what that family went through.
Man, you gotta get out of my house. I'm gonna stab you like right now, man. And when I told him that, he ended up getting afraid. He put his hands up and he was like, please, please. So when I saw he was intimidated, I was just trying to lead him out. Kind of limped to the truck, started, the fence was closed, and he just, boom. I ended up chasing him down, but it was too late. He already just did the damage. And my mom, she said she broke her hand, for just holding me back. Because I didn't really want to let him go, but my mom was just like, just let him go, just let him go. This guy's off the influence, just by looking at him, I already knew, he already knew it was going to be like his last day with freedom or with life, which is why I didn't want him to do anything more stupid. I was just trying to get him out the house because I already knew he didn't care. It just breaks my heart because, that truck that he stole is our work truck, and we use it every day. And that truck, we had literally just got it 3 weeks ago, for our business, my brother and my dad's business. We still got to work tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, but God knows how we're going to do it.
And you at home and all of us here in the studio got a front row seat to one of the most dramatic chases in Southern California history. Our Chris Christie was there every step of the way in Air 7, and 24 hours later, I asked him about all the dramatic details that are still fresh in our minds. For further analysis of that unprecedented pursuit, I want to bring in Chris Christie, our pursuit expert. He's seen hundreds, if not thousands, in his career. Chris, you did an amazing job. You're sitting in Air 7 right now, landed. And I've been looking forward to this conversation because you and I, we've done so many pursuits before. This one was unbelievable. And I wanted to just kind of debrief with you on your thoughts. It started with this guy in a black Honda Civic. Tell us how you stumbled upon this.
So it's really interesting. We were actually over the end of another pursuit in the Buena Park area, actually ended at Knott's Berry Farm. They had to lock down the park. The water park was closed, and there was a foot search going on for 2 suspects who had fled through Knott's Berry Farm. They caught those 2. We went live during our 4 o'clock broadcast, and seconds later, we heard Anaheim PD's helicopter going to a separate pursuit nearby, and lo and behold, we turned the helicopter. My pilot, Justin Hopp, flipped it around, and there was this Honda Civic in pursuit right there on the 90 freeway, and the pursuit was on. There wasn't even any patrol cars behind him at the time, just that Anaheim PD helicopter and Air 7 HD right overhead there. And it was one of those, right out of the gate, you could tell he was not driving normal. He was all over the freeway in the middle of rush hour, and it was only a Honda Civic. I say only a Honda Civic because obviously it graduated to much larger vehicles throughout the afternoon, but it was immediately very dangerous right out of the gate.
We showed some video of that black Honda Civic. He was pulling into an apartment complex. He foot bailed. We actually saw him foot bail, try to steal a different vehicle. He was unsuccessful, got back into the Honda. Then he drove into that apartment complex, foot bailed. Then he jumped into that refrigerator truck. And then that's when we just saw the video of him trying to back out. He's getting into the truck. He breaks in basically to the driver's side door. He must have hotwired that truck. I think that's what was confirmed. And then he's backing in to that police vehicle. And right there is when it told me this is going to be an exceptionally dangerous pursuit. What were you thinking at that time?
Well, it was becoming clear, we've since learned that since he did hotwire that van in such quick fashion, this must have been something of a professional. We don't know his background, whether he was mentally ill or a career criminal or what his situation was, but the way he was hotwiring these vehicles, and we have confirmation from the driver, the owner of that vehicle, who said the door was locked and he does not keep his keys in that van. So he was able to break into that van. The door opened almost immediately, and within 30 seconds had turned on the ignition and was backing up, ramming into that patrol car, that Fullerton police vehicle. And that was the point where you knew this guy was not going to give up easy. I thought it was going to be over with the Honda Civic. I never thought he was going to take over another vehicle in that apartment complex. Once he took over that van and was ramming into that police vehicle, the charges were stacking up immediately, the whole energy of that pursuit changed right away.
Absolutely. And then I think in the old days when he was ramming that police vehicle, there would be shooting. But protocols have changed. And I think in this case, it worked because it came to, I wouldn't call it a peaceful solution, and we will get to that solution in just a second because I want to move this along and kind of get to the next piece of video for you. So we are watching this van, and he's barely able to keep control of it, and to the point where he loses the tread on his back driver's side tire, and it's literally sparking. We see him flying through a gas station, cutting across lanes, back into traffic, narrowly hitting people, and then smashing into people. And it's at that point where we saw him try to squeeze through a couple of cars, and he wedges up against a car, and he's stuck. And this tire, this wheel of his, the tire's gone. The wheel is spinning, getting red hot, throwing out sparks, and then catching the vehicle on fire. What are your thoughts at that point?
Well, you know, we've seen a little bit more of that recently. I don't know if it's a coincidence or if it's a trend, but they seem to just run the vehicle into the ground, even when this vehicle was disabled, just spinning that rim into the concrete, creating all of those sparks. And then he was, you know, daring enough to jump out and then run for it. And
that's what threw me. I didn't expect, I thought it was over. And then
I thought it was over. That was the second time I thought it was over.
So this is an analysis that I think is really interesting. When we're watching him running, and you're watching him running, describing where he's going through, and you see this all the time, Chris, where these bad guys jump out of a vehicle, they run, they take off, they're going like a bat out of hell, and then all of a sudden they start slowing down. Exhaustion
and once you
starts
get into foot pursuit mode, that's usually where it ends, especially at the distance he ran. He ran at least 2 or 3 blocks, and you just assume that he's going to just start slowing down, run out of energy, and sooner or later that airship will direct the units on the ground into the neighborhood, and it might become a suspect search. He might be hiding out in a shed. Maybe they're going to do a perimeter, something
we're seeing
like that.
even kind of walking now, and I'm thinking it's over, and he even falls. Then he turns around, but then he sees an opening. He gets through a gate, and in that gate is we start to notice there are dogs. He works his way through that building, and then to the next, it's a home, and he gets to the next home. You circle him on the video on Air 7, and you're showing him getting underneath that awning, and then he soon pops out from under that awning, and then that's when it gets really scary. Suddenly there's new life with this criminal, and he finds his way into the home, and then I'm thinking we're going to be in a standoff. But within seconds, we're not. This thing is continuing on.
Yeah, and it was really the nightmare scenario because we often have suspects who run through neighborhoods, maybe try and sneak in through a window. This situation, the family was home. Family is home. Somebody grabs a knife during this ordeal. The struggle spills into the front yard. You see a woman, perhaps the mother of one of the people that was struggling with him, pulling that person back. All the while, he's making his way to the driver's side of the truck. The dogs are running around. One dog, I think I counted 3 dogs altogether. One of the small dogs was underneath the truck. I thought there was no way he'd be able, unless the keys again were maybe in the truck. But right away, within less than 20 seconds, that car was on. The truck was on the move. There were people in front of the truck. One person was trying to close that gate in front of the truck, and he just ran right through that, and he was in his 3rd vehicle. It was unbelievable.
I couldn't believe it. When he found his way into that vehicle, and then when you see that vehicle moving, that was unbelievable. I felt badly for that family. You know that's their livelihood. And he's taking off with their brand new truck that clearly is their way of life. That is their business. And we see this chase continue on yet again. So now he's in another vehicle. He gets to a cul-de-sac. And are you thinking it's over?
I thought it was over. There was a couple of points during that ordeal where at one point he gets into that cul-de-sac and there were so many patrol cars. I thought there was no way he's going to get out. I thought, if anything, this would end up in a shootout. And I will tell you, in certain jurisdictions, it absolutely would have. Now, the LA County Sheriff's Department protocol is much more conservative than most of the agencies in Southern California. And I think that's part of the reason this particular chase lasted as long as it did. It's not not a matter of second guessing any particular agency. They just each have their own way of doing business, their own way of doing law enforcement, and the protocols do vary from agency to agency, whether it's different police departments or CHP, county sheriffs. They all do things a little bit differently. This was certainly the most conservative, considering the charges that were racking up, the danger involved here, the violent nature of the pursuit. They were pretty friendly towards him for most of this ordeal, allowing him to move around. At times, he was speeding through intersections. They were just shutting down the intersections and letting him speed through those red lights, giving him a wide berth to just continue on until it finally came to an end.
Well, speaking of the ending, now we're watching it. He slams into that Jeep. It gets pushed over a couple of lanes, and he is on again, but you could already tell he has no control of his vehicle. He's back down to rims. They're sparking like crazy. He can't stop the vehicle. He smashes through 1, 2, 3, 4 cars right now, and then he pushes his way into that intersection, and he's trying to drive across it, and that's when you see a sheriff's vehicle smash into the back of him, and it literally pushes him into that gas station where he comes all the way up to the pumps, and then he comes to a stop, and you think it might be over there, but it's not. He hits that thing in reverse. He's spinning backwards. You're calling this whole thing, and he goes backwards into a sheriff's vehicle. What do you remember happened at that time?
Well, the gunfire broke out almost immediately, and I think they saw an opportunity. Obviously, there was probably a go-ahead given at one point, and as we've learned, it was the Special Enforcement Bureau that ultimately took him in. So they were there within seconds. As you know, David, it oftentimes takes many minutes or sometimes hours to get Special Enforcement Bureau out to a scene, depending on the location. There are separate Bearcats, for example, that are on standby in various parts of the county, but this SEB team happened to be right there in the vicinity. Those initial first responders were the ones that fired the gunfire and then eventually less lethal rounds. And I know, we were discussing as this was all playing out, we couldn't get a clear view into the driver's seat, but you saw the bullet holes, you saw less lethal rounds going through that driver's side window, and you just assumed that at some degree he was maybe incapacitated. When he walked out of that vehicle, I just thought, I just could not believe my eyes.
Chris, you did a great job over this pursuit. Thanks for joining us. It's great talking to you.
Up next, we're going to try to get some answers from local law enforcement experts on that jaw-dropping, heart-stopping pursuit through several counties.
You're watching our Eyewitness News special On the Run, Unstoppable Chase Rampage.
Get the ABC7 app now. Stay updated on the latest news with live video, easy navigation, and customized alerts with the topics you love. Plus, get real-time weather and traffic all in one place. Go to your app store and download the ABC7 app now.
Welcome back to our special On the Run Unstoppable Chase Rampage. It was a wild chase and crime rampage stretching across 2 counties. The suspect leading law enforcement on a nearly 1.5-hour-long chase involving 3 stolen vehicles, ending with a crash at a gas station and then backing up and slamming against a sheriff's cruiser. L.A. Sheriff's deputies identifying the suspect today as 32-year-old Johnny Ochando.
And a lot of people have questions about what went right and what went wrong during yesterday's wild chase. I had a chance to talk with local law enforcement expert Bruce Thomas earlier today to get his perspective. He has never seen anything quite like this.
Well, you know, one of the things that I saw, as everybody saw, was you basically had assault with a deadly weapon, the vehicle, on the police officers. And I don't understand why an officer-involved shooting didn't or did occur. It didn't. Obviously, they didn't feel they maybe were in that kind of danger. But the pursuit would have ended maybe if that had happened, or maybe they didn't have a tactical advantage to do so. You never want to second guess another officer, but in this case, the suspect was able to get away and further this pursuit.
Yeah, and it has absolutely no regard for anybody. They are at that moment where they want to escape come what may. So when you're watching this happening, what is it like for law enforcement to think about, do we need to back off this? Do we need to go into tracking mode? Because I don't know if they can predict if they can do pit maneuvers or spike strips.
Yeah, it's hard to do a pit maneuver or a spike strip. You have to kind of know the route the vehicle's going for this deployment of the spike strip. And clearly his speeds were at such a high rate that probably would not have happened. As far as a pit maneuver, you're dealing with a bigger size vehicle. And also the cars that they have are smaller, so that may not have been a choice for them at that time. But also, you just noticed this suspect had a total wanton disregard for everybody and anything.
Well, let's fast forward. He obviously got into, he ditched that van, stole another work van, got into an altercation with the family in the house, stole that work van, and then it came to almost a crashing halt at that gas station. What were you thinking when you were seeing that happen?
Yeah, when he had the other vehicle, the gardener's or landscaper's pickup truck, and he was driving, and then it looked like he didn't want to go in the gas station, hesitated, and that's when that sheriff's vehicle rear-ended him. I don't think that was an intentional act at all, but he did go into the gas station, and everybody's fear is you're going to ignite the gas pumps. You're going to set them off, and now you're going to have a bigger problem. And then as you saw, he backed up into the sheriff's vehicle again, and there was a small fire where now the deputies had to tactically approach and put that fire out.
And then they opened fire.
Yeah, and then there was another officer on the other side who opened fire, and looked like he fired multiple shots in addition to some other weaponry, maybe a stun bag shotgun or an R1 round.
This is last question. Do you think that the police are going to be heavily criticized for the way this went, or do you think they're going to be praised? There's obviously a lot of lessons learned.
Well, the praising part is nobody was seriously hurt or injured. That's the praising part. The other part is they will definitely do a tactical debriefing, or what they call as a hot wash, where they will talk about this from beginning to end, what we did right, what we did wrong. And I'm sure that that's going to take hours.
I'd love to hear
I'd
the
love to be
results
a
of that
fly on
meeting.
the wall on that one.
Yeah, because I'm sure there are issues that we don't understand that they have to deal with. And he's right. It ended. Nobody was severely hurt. Nobody was killed. It's remarkable.
Unbelievable.
Don't go anywhere. Our special On the Run Unstoppable Chase Rampage continues right after this short break.
A number of drivers had their cars damaged in that wild pursuit across Orange and LA counties. I'm David Gonzalez, and coming up, you'll hear from insurance experts as to what you should do if you're caught in one of these high-speed chases and who's going to pay for those damages.
Head on, head on, head on.
Yesterday's wild high-speed pursuit drew nationwide attention, but it also drew the attention of insurance companies. Eyewitness News reporter David Gonzalez spoke to some insurance experts who have advice for those unsuspecting victims who incurred damage during the chase.
Driver that is just, look at this, look at this.
Several innocent drivers across SoCal became collateral damage during a wild high-speed chase on Wednesday.
It's unbelievable, and unfortunately, living in Southern California, it just doesn't surprise you.
A suspect, identified as Johnny Anchondo, stole at least 3 vehicles and sideswiped and crashed into a number of other cars as he led authorities on a dangerous pursuit across Orange and LA counties.
There are going to be a lot of victims that need to file claims.
Insurance experts say people who have their property damaged in a chase need to file a police report and contact their insurance company immediately to get the claims process started.
If your vehicle was stolen or was hit by this fleeing driver, you are the victim of a crime.
They say drivers won't have any luck getting anything from the suspect, especially if he was uninsured. So it's crucial people have uninsured motorist coverage on their auto insurance.
You, as the consumer, have to opt out of this coverage if you don't want it. It's a really important coverage to have because, unfortunately, we see situations like what happened yesterday.
Experts say comprehensive and collision coverage also helps protect drivers. They say those affected should not see the aftermath of filing insurance claims on their wallets.
In California, we're fortunate to be in a state that insurance companies, they cannot raise your rate for not at fault accident.
Insurance experts say it's important to know what kind of coverage you have. They warn you do not want to find out something isn't covered after something happens, because by then it will be too late. In Orange, David Gonzalez, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
And thank you so much for watching our special On the Run Unstoppable Chase Rampage.
And we'll keep you posted on any new developments.
But stay with us. There is more news to come.
Including it started with an eviction notice and turned into a complete shutdown of the Hollywood freeway. Why you may have been stuck on the 101.
And with LA City Council facing so much criticism in the wake of the racist remarks scandals, members are creating something they will say will restore the faith of the people of Los Angeles.